Hello, welcome back to Proverbs Nana. I'm Nana Kate. What we're going to be learning today is how to iron a shirt. This is my husband's button-down shirt, and his sleeves like to crunch up. So I will be using some starch today, and I'm going to teach you how to use that too. I'm going to put this back here for right now. I have already turned up my iron and turned it on. And it's hot already. I have water in there for steam, so that way I can get wrinkles out without having to use a lot of starch. Because starch makes your clothes stiffer. It helps keep wrinkles out, and it flattens them out if the steam doesn't work. So, I'm going to be starting on the collar, and it's a button-down shirt. I'm going to do this the easy way. So, you should always check your clothing to make sure that you can iron it, and you can find the care instructions on the inside left seam. And let's see what this says. 100% cotton. You can iron. Let's see how much. 100% cotton, so I don't have to worry about the heat so much. So I'm gonna turn my iron up just a wee bit. Okay. So I'm gonna start with the collar. I'm gonna lay it out. I start with the collar because if I do the rest of this and then I do the smaller parts, I can put wrinkles back into where I just ironed it, okay? So, starting with the collar. And this collar isn't bad. If it was really bad, I'd undo the buttons and do it flat. But this one's in pretty good shape. So starting at one end, I like to make sure that the collar is folded all the way down, and I pull up on the material to help prevent wrinkles, because sometimes the material will fold underneath the iron as you're going over it, okay? And that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to do the sleeves next. Now the sleeves, they like to bunch up on the ends. So go around and try and get all the wrinkles out. And you want to fold it over at the seam, make sure everything's flat, because if not, then you got to work twice as hard to get the wrinkles out. So, and then I'm gonna lay this down flat, holding on to it, making sure that there's no wrinkles. Oh, gotta get the underside, gotta put that little piece down there. I'm gonna start at this side. I'm gonna stick it in through the opening of the sleeve, not through the inside. Okay, because this is just too wrinkled. So, got my steam. Okay, be very careful you don't burn yourself. Just start off with a small area and then work your way across. Always moving your iron as you go. And then turn. And pressing that flat. The same here. Oops. Okay. I'm much better at ironing than I am in sewing. If you watched my last video and you have a better way of sewing it, let me know. I'll put you on if you live in my area. Okay. And be careful because this material can get hot and you can burn yourself sometimes just from the material. Just take your time and press. Oops. Okay. Created a wrinkle. See, it can happen. Okay. So I didn't pull up on the material. A little steam. That's better. Okay, do the same thing again for this area. Okay, so I've got that. Now I can iron the whole sleeve. Taking and folding it at the seam, folding back, and then making sure both sides laying flat. Lay it down on your board, bringing everything up even. See how I have to mess with the material? This is why you do your sleeves and your collar first. Okay. Okay. Keep it moving, and it's not going to hold. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some spray starch, shake it up, and then when you open the lid, you're going to see a red dot on the nozzle. Let me bring this over to you. Okay. See that red dot? And then inside, you can see there's another red dot. Make sure that that red dot on your nozzle is lined up with the red dot on the inside. Okay? Shake it up good. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just do a quick spray across. And then quickly, so it doesn't dry, you're going to iron it. Okay? Always moving your iron. That looks much better. Now we're going to flip it over and do the same to the other side. See, there's still a wrinkle from the first time I ironed. I got most of the wrinkle out. Oh, I forgot to do the rest of the sleeve. My mind works too quickly sometimes. I get ahead of myself. Okay, so got to go back, press it out, moving your iron so you don't get wrinkles. Okay, now flip it over, do the same with the other side. Now try it again. I'll steam. Moving your iron, pulling up on your material to keep it straight so you don't get no wrinkles. I can still see that wrinkle going across there on this side. So another shake. Always shake your starch. One quick spray. Okay. Immediately get your iron back on there because you don't want it to dry, because your starch, once it dries, it's going to stiffen up your material, and that's what helps get the wrinkles out. All right, that's one sleeve done. Now for the other one, we're going to have to take this down to the end too. Trying to get them folds out. Make sure that there's no creases and folds. Steam. Make sure you don't steam your hand because you can get burnt very easily, very quickly. No, I don't want this to fall off. I'll put this right back here. Oh, if you see something moving around in the background, that's my baby. That's my Jack. He's stay. You're a good boy. You stay. He's a Black Lab and Great Dane. He's my 80-pound cuddle buddy lap dog, okay? All right, let's get back to the ironing. Okay, so I got that part. Let's keep going. Okay. Holding your material, making sure it's everything's laying flat. Give it a little steam. Helps get the wrinkles out. Yeah, a little more steam. Yeah, you don't want your hand under here because the steam can come out, okay? And back over here. And then this last little bit. Just like on the other side, I can still see wrinkles in it, but that's okay. So, we're gonna fold over the one side as close to the seam as possible, making sure that everything is flat on both the top and bottom part of what you're sewing. I don't feel any wrinkles. If you run your hands over, you'll feel if there's wrinkles on this underside, okay? Now, let's get this edge here again. Okay, I'm gonna have to use some more starch here. Keep that hand, because I know I'm gonna need it for the other side. Okay, and then iron the rest. Moving your material as you need to make sure that it's all nice and flat and even. Okay, let's turn this over and do this side. All right, didn't put no wrinkles in. Got it, did it right. Okay, once again, lay it flat. Make sure there's no wrinkles underneath. If you lift it up, it helps pull the wrinkle out. Okay, oops. Let's do this part. And there's still a wrinkle I can see. This is one of his hardest shirts to keep the wrinkles out of. The rest of it. Always moving your iron. Don't leave it sitting. It will burn your clothes. I have burned clothes. Okay, put the cap back on. Set that off. Set that off to the side. Okay, now let's see. I'm going to start on this end with the side that doesn't have any buttons on it. I'm going to tuck the corner of the ironing board into the inside of this sleeve so that the outside of the shirt is up. Straightening it out, making sure everything's flat. You will have to move your material a little bit. All right, let's start up here at the shoulder, pulling this tight. Be careful of your pocket, okay? Because if you're not careful, you'll iron a wrinkle in, or you could tear your pocket, okay? All right, I go down the front piece here, where the buttonholes are. this taut. There you go. Oh, see? I did it. The one thing I was warning you about. Well, let's see if I can do it with some steam. All right. There we go. It wasn't a bad wrinkle, so I was able to get it out. All right. This bottom edge doesn't wrinkle too bad. Okay, and then move it forward. Now this part, you can either do on the narrow end or on the corner. I usually just do it here on the corner. Now, you're gonna have to pull this part taut, pulling up on this. This is gonna be loose, so you gotta be careful. All right, so we're gonna get this seam, and then this part that we didn't get before. Now, and then when I wanna do this side, I pull the material that way, keeping it taut, going down along that bottom seam, then back up, and then like that. All right, now let's readjust. Pull this over into the corner more, bring this up more onto the shoulder area. Now, button-down shirts, a lot of times they have a little tuck in the back. You want to get some of that, but you don't want to get too much because you don't want to bring it all the way down. Okay, because then it looks funny. All right, let's do this part up here. Pull that taut. Because it's summer, bad time to iron, huh? Because ironing is hot. Back in the day, they used to use a big piece of metal that was kind of shaped like this, but it was solid metal. It was very heavy. It had a handle that came up, and you had to use a towel or something to hold on to it. All right, got that. Okay, let's readjust. Okay, now we're going to get this tuck area. So make sure the tuck is good. And fold it down, and then just come up and do a quick press. Little steam. That area is done. Okay, and then just bring it back down. Now, for this part, I just go up a little ways, make sure it's flat. Now, the bottom of this is wrinkling. Keeps trying to fold up on me. So keep pulling it tight, working the steam button on this. Being careful I don't go over the edge while my hand is right there. Woo, that material's hot, 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 baby. Be careful. You will get burned. And if you're not careful, you can get bad second-degree burns from an iron just from the steam. And if it's bad enough, you can do third degree. So please be careful, ladies. All right, let's tuck this up into this, the corner here, up into the sleeve. Get this area here, pulling this taut. All right, there's that. Now we're going to do the inside seam. Tuck it into this corner a little bit here. All right. Now, back to iron. Pull this up so you can get that real good. Go into the corner here and come over to the front part. Lift up this the back piece so you can get this little part down here at this bottom where the seam ends. All right. Readjust. we just got this part left to do. We're almost done already. Okay, let's get up into the corner and up by the collar. Pulling up on the material to make sure we don't iron in any wrinkles. Now, on your irons, on mine, I have a groove that goes all the way around, but some have like little notches cut into the top or into the hot part of the plate itself. That is so that you can go in between your buttons. Make sure you don't set one in. Pull in your material tight. And then I move all around. Then get up here. And then I like to go back over and do the shoulder area just real quick. Trying to keep this as straight as possible so you don't get no wrinkles in. There you go, there's that. Readjust. Pulling it tight, keeping the fabric moving. Sometimes you get little wrinkles in from doing that, but that's okay. Got it out. And look at that, ladies. I am done. That's a nice looking shirt now. And if you leave your shirts hanging up, sometimes they can get wrinkles in them. So what I like to do is I like to button this very first top button. Plus it also helps keep it from falling off the hangers. And also so that it will hang right. So, how about that, ladies? Looks pretty good, huh? I know it's hot work in the summer, but you know what? You give your husband a nice, clean, fresh shirt. He's gonna appreciate it. All right, I'll be back in a little bit. We're gonna talk about Hannah. All right, you guys, be back in a minute. All right, hello everyone. I'm back. Boy, ironing sure is hot work. Didn't show you how to set up the ironing board. Next time. I'm used to saying I'm used to having somebody here with me, namely my assistant Liz, but she's working. So I'm doing this one on my own. I will be talking about Hannah from 1 Samuel, starting off in chapter 1. Now, Hannah was married to a man. I'm looking at my little laptop here to make sure I try and pronounce all these names correctly. Hannah's easy. The other wife and the husband is not so easy. All right. His name was Elkanah, and he had 2 wives. The name of one was Hannah, and the other name was Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah didn't. The Lord had closed her womb. I believe that he allowed Peninnah to have children while Hannah's was closed because God knew that Elkanah did not love Peninnah like he loved Hannah. All right. Peninnah had quite a few children, and when he would go up and sacrifice, he would go to Shiloh to do his yearly sacrifice, and when they all went up with him, he would give portions to his wife Peninnah and to her children, but to Hannah he gave a double portion because he loved her, and because Adonai, God, had closed her womb. Now, Peninnah was considered her rival because, you know, there's two wives. There's going to be some rivalry. But Peninnah, as a woman, you know when your husband loves you or he doesn't. And Elkanah did not love her like he did Hannah. So she would tease her and provoke her and bully her, which was not very nice. And every year, you know, this went on for several years. You know, Peninnah was having children and Hannah wasn't, and she was getting depressed. And according to here, I mean, she was praying, asking God for children, but he kept her womb closed. So it got to the point where whenever she went up to the house of Adonai, Peninnah would really provoke her, and it got to the point where she just cried all the time, and she wouldn't eat, nothing. So she started looking pretty bad. And then her husband said to her, in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 8, he said to her, Hannah, why are you crying? Why won't you eat? Why is your heart so sad? Am I not better than 10 sons? So after eating and drinking in Shiloh, Hannah got up, and, you know, she's feeling better. You know, she got some food and some water in her. And so she went to the temple. And she wasn't, you know, that happy. Okay? And sitting by the post, his post at the temple of Adonai, was Eli, one of the priests there. And her soul was bitter, it says here in verse 10, and she prayed to Adonai and she wept. And she made a vow to Adonai in verse 11. If Adonai, if you will indeed look upon the affliction of your handmaid, remember me and not forget your handmaid, but grant your handmaid a son, and then I will give to him, to Adonai, all the days of its life, and no razor will ever touch his head. And so while she was doing this, and she's praying, and she's just pouring her heart and soul out to the Lord. Now, she wasn't speaking out loud, okay? Her lips were moving, but no sound was coming out. So Eli, you know, he's watching her, you know, he's like, what's going on? I see her lips moving and she's crying, but I don't hear nothing coming out. Okay? And so Eli thought she was drunk. Okay? He said to her in verse 14, how long will you be drunk? Get rid of your wine. But Hannah said, no, my Lord, I am not a woman. No, my Lord, I am a woman with an oppressed spirit. I haven't been drinking wine or beer. Indeed, I've been pouring out my soul before Adonai. Don't consider your handmaid a wicked woman, for out of my great anguish and grief, I have been praying until now. Oh, I'm reading out of the TLV, which is the Tree of Life version, and it's found on the U version that you can get in the Google Play Store. And you know, I love it because it was written by Messianic Hebrews, okay? So they use a lot more of the Hebrew language, and you get, for me, I get a lot more out of it, okay? So, but in 16, she said, don't consider your handmaid a wicked woman, for out of my great anguish and grief, I have been praying until now. And then Eli in 17 responds, go in shalom, peace. And may the God of Israel grant your petition that you asked of him. May, in 18, may your maidservant find favor in your eyes, she said. So she went on her way. She ate, and her countenance, how she looked, her face and everything, was no longer dejected, because Eli had told her, may God of Israel grant your petition. So they rose up early the next day, worshiped before God, Adonai, and they went back to their home in Ramah. And then Elkanah was intimate with his wife, and God remembered her. He remembered the outpouring of her soul, her anguish. And so it came to pass at the turn of the year, Hannah conceived. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son. God granted her wish. He gave her a son. He gave her a son. And she called his name Samuel, because I have asked Adonai for him. And when the man in Elkanah and all his household went up to offer the annual sacrifice to Adonai and to fulfill his vow offering, she didn't go up with him. She said, when my child is weaned, I will bring him so that he may appear before Adonai and stay there forever. She was going to keep her promise to God. She told God, you give me a son, I will give him back to you. So, her husband tells her, do what seems best to you. Stay until you have weaned him, because I believe he also would serve somewhat. He had a role at the temple. Stay until you have weaned him. Only may Adonai establish his word. So she stayed home and nursed her son until she weaned him, which back then was between 2 and 5 years of age. So when she weaned him, she took him up with her along with 3 bulls, 1 ephah of flour, and a jar of wine, and brought him to the house of Adonai in Shiloh while the child was still young. 2 to 5 years, that is young. They slaughtered the bull, and they brought the boy to Eli, the priest that she had talked to before. And she says, "It's me, my Lord. As your soul lives, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by you here praying to Adonai. For this boy I prayed, and Adonai has granted me my petition that I asked of him. So I, in turn, dedicate him to Adonai, to God. As long as he lives, he is dedicated to him." Then he bowed in worship before Adonai. So can you imagine what that was like? To go year after year after year, watching your husband's other wife, your co-wife at that time, having child after child after child, and your womb is closed. But I think that the Lord was waiting. He waited for his timing. And she became anguished and stuff, but she still trusted in the Lord and kept praying to him and, petitioning him, "Please, Lord, please give me a child." So when she, got to the point where she just, it was getting hard to bear, she says, "Look, you give me a son, I will give him back to you, and a razor shall not touch his head." And so God remembered her. And he gave her a son, and she kept her promise. So to me, you have to keep praying and praying. And although it might seem like God's not listening, or he's not doing it when you think that you should, and you think because he's not answering you that the answer is no. Well, not always. If he says no, you're going to know it's no. Okay? But it had to wait for his timing. She had to reach a certain point. Okay, there was things that she had to learn and things that she had to go through so that she would really appreciate the gift of the son that he gave her. And so in doing so, he gave her her heart's desire. And after she gave him back to the Lord, it goes on in chapter 2 that later on, he went above and beyond. He didn't give her just one son that she gave back, so that was no longer her son. Samuel now belonged to the Lord. But he gave her 3 sons and 2 daughters. Okay? So he multiplied the blessing times 5. How about that one? Okay? We just need to wait on the Lord, ladies, and wait for his timing. He knows what's best for us, okay? That's all for now. Let us close out in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the many abundant blessings that you give me each and every day. Thank you for the basic life skills that you have given me so that I can reach out and help others. Please give me the heart of Hannah. Give me her patience. And I know we shouldn't ask for patience because, boy, he gives us trials to teach us patience. But she had patience, and she believed in him, and she trusted in him, and he multiplied his blessings to her. Give me that kind of faith, Lord. Thank you always. Thank you for everything. Please bless those who are watching here today. Thank you for the subscribers that you have given me. Bless them. Bless everyone who watches today, tomorrow, and whenever. Bless them abundantly according to your will. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, everyone. You have a blessed day today. This is Nana Kate. Have a great day. Bye.